Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Books with Banks. Today, I'm so excited to be joined by my special guest, Nathan, my brother. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. It's a great 5th of July after
Yeah, yeah,
4th
yeah.
of July. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what this video is about today, we're gonna do a Malazan ranking, but we're gonna do a team version, a cooperative sort of version of this. And I figured no one better than my brother to have on, in case anyone's wondering if twins do think alike or not, things like that. Um, or I guess little backstory for me. Nathan, actually, you got me into epic fantasy, really, because of your passion for Song of Ice and Fire, got me interested in that series. And then just with, if I remember right, the different series and different people you talk with about epic fantasy, some of them had recommended Malazan to you. So I kind of took that recommendation and ran with it myself. And now here we are, both having read Malazan. Is that about right? Or
Yeah. I mean, so like my gateway was like to epic fantasy was Lord of the Rings.
sure, yeah, yeah,
But not not just Lord of the Rings, but like the whole like middle of high school, like sophomore, junior year,
yeah.
I reread Lord of the Rings.
These things, yeah.
But then I read those things, and I've got I mean, it's the top of the
Oh yeah,
bookshelf
yeah.
right there, but it's all of the history of Middle Earth, Silmarillion. I'm not going to go back because it's a little embarrassing. I don't have a copy of Lord of the Rings up there
Okay.
because, yeah, I
See, I
left
have a
it.
copy of Lord of the Rings. I don't have a copy of The Hobbit on my
Oh,
shelf.
I don't have either on my
Okay.
shelf right now. Uh, yeah, I left Lord of the Rings for the teachers,
Okay.
and then I left The Hobbit for my students.
Oh,
Anyway, so yeah, you're right. So early in college, then, after I had done the whole Song of Ice and Fire thing, and I had finished reading um, Dance with Dragons, and I had also started working at the library at Northwest Missouri State, and we had this like book ordering system, like Mobius,
yeah.
yeah, like a lot of colleges go through that system when they order books. That yeah.
Right, right.
Um, and one of the series that I looked into was Malazan. I ended up having to order it through that system because we just didn't have any copies of any of the books at the school. And it was the version of Gardens of the Moon that we got that I could like borrow for like 2 weeks or something was the version, it's the edition with the guy on the horse and he's like running towards the city.
Okay, yeah.
And
Yeah.
now that I've read it, it's like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like
Like he looks like a
in the
classic knight or
context of
something. Yeah. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's a couple scenes I guess I could kind of
yeah.
see, but
I'll
I mean,
throw up
also
an
the
image
one,
on the screen of what I assume you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Uh, I mean, the other one is almost like the more common one is almost just as baffling to, or not baffling, but strange to
Vague.
me.
Yeah.
Vague, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got maybe 5 pages in, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I have time for this. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I guess I mentioned something about that to you, and you burned through like the whole series. Like,
Yeah. I don't know if
yeah.
burn through. I mean, it took me a couple of years, but
I mean, compared to how
I
long
love
it
them.
takes
Yeah.
some people, you burn through it.
Yeah. No.
Like, I burned through it after a certain point. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess we'll kind of get to what that would be. Like,
Yeah, I that actually that has a lot to do with why I switched a couple things around near the top
that
of my
has a lot to
ranking.
do with why one of mine is so high.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of speaking of which, for everyone watching, the way that this is gonna work, the structure of this is we're just gonna go in. the order of the series. And to be specific, we're talking about Erikson's Book of the Fallen series, just those 10 books in that series. We won't talk about really any of Cam's stuff or any of the prequels and sequel series, with one exception. We Right before I started recording, we talked about doing a little honorable mention about a book that would maybe make our top 10 list from those other parts of this world. But for the ranking, we're just gonna go through. We'll start with Gardens of the Moon, and then we'll finish with The Crippled God. Um, and when I get to each book, we're gonna share a few of our thoughts about the books. Um, and then at a certain point, I'll say, okay, three, two, one, hold up your number ranking, and we have these numbers here, and we'll just hold up the number that like wherever we place this in our ranking. I'll be keeping track just on the side just to eventually at the end of the video get an average score or an average placement for how we would rank this all together. And then at the very end of the video, I'll kind of share what those sums or what those averages come out to. Um, and I should also say at this point, we will, while we're doing the ranking for the majority of the video, full spoilers for Book of the Fallen. Yeah, full spoilers there. But at the end, when I give kind of our aggregate score or whatever, that's going to be spoiler free. Just so if you want to skip ahead to that time, and that timestamp's going to be down in the description below. But if you want to skip ahead to that point, just to see where we place things, go for it. Also, we're kind of doing it in series order. I guess a benefit there is uh, will likely, if we're talking about the first few books and you've only read the first few books, you can watch up to the point that you've gotten to in the series without worrying about too many
I think
spoilers.
yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense, yeah. Um,
So,
Sound good with you, Nathan?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to add before we get started with the ranking?
I will say, so I've read through the series once in its entirety, and then I hybrid um, read and listened to an audiobook through about halfway through The Crippled God, and I got busy, which I know sounds insane, uh, because it's kind of there's not really a low point in that book, but like that is
Right.
kind of when things start to kick
Right,
off.
right. It's pretty exciting.
Uh, but it was one of those moments when it was like I'm not feeling it. If I'm not feeling it, I don't want that to like take me out of it. If I get back into it, I probably actually I'll start over, not completely, but I'll start back over with nine.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And then
That's true.
because they're very much a duology
Sure,
and
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so
I'm
that's
excited to
how
talk
much
about
I've
that
read
too.
it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's how much that I've read
Okay,
of.
yeah.
But I've also, I will add, like, I talk with you a lot about them,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that keeps a lot of the moments, the specific scenes, specific reasons. Like, I'm confident in why these are where I've placed them.
Yeah,
But
sure, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, okay. So, okay, here we go. Without any further ado, let's do this quick little sort of honorable mention round, and we can remain spoiler free for this too, just because not as many people maybe have read some of these other books outside of Book of the Fallen. So if you had to pick an honorable mention from any of these other series, just something, one of the books that you'd like to talk about, um, go for it. Or what would that be?
yeah. So that would be. It's a little bit of a deep cut, but I think that anyone who's interested in this world should read Blood and Bone. Um, which is, yeah,
Yeah.
it's sort of it's like one of the more out of place ones. It's kind of unlike anything else in the world, but it does involve characters from other books, other stories. It is a continuation of things that happen in like Stone Wielder
Right.
and Orb Scepter Throne, but like yeah, it's the fifth one
Right.
in
Yeah. The fifth book
yeah,
in Novels of the Malazan Empire,
yeah,
if anyone's wondering. It is very, I agree that it is pretty unique. I think
yeah.
it's
Well,
one
it's
of the,
unique within Malazan, but it's honestly one of the reasons I like it is I love that kind of genre of like adventure book,
hmm
like going like essentially like Mysterious Island, Lost World. What are we gonna find there? Ancient ruins, like all that stuff is awesome. Like it's so it just I don't know, it perks some like it makes me yeah.
yeah.
It's n it might not even be like objectively like my or I guess subjectively, this is all completely but it might not be like my favorite in that series, but I think it is to me it's like the most interesting in the series, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
In that series, yeah, yeah.
I think for what it's worth, and apologies if I get this wrong, but I believe Erikson has said that this is his favorite of Esselmann's books, or
Okay,
it's
I
at least
get
one of
that.
his favorites of his friends' books.
Kind of the spookiest, and Erikson does a lot of spooky stuff in his own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I get maybe I'll add if you don't mind. Let's say you read, or someone out there has read the first book in Novels of the Malazan Empire, Night of Knives, and you really liked the kind of horror staging of Here Come the Hounds and like that kind of stuff. There's some pretty horrific tension,
Yeah.
uh, grotesque stuff in this one. So you definitely, if you
There's
continue
also
with that
funny
series,
stuff. Like it's one of the funniest ones in that
yeah, yeah.
series.
I
Yeah.
know that there's one specific
But
storyline in here with a couple
that
of
it starts
characters.
off and you don't know if you should take it seriously
Right,
or but
right.
yeah, yeah.
They're
By
yeah,
the
such a goofball that, or not, I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so Blood and Bone, honorable
Yeah.
mention.
Blood and bone.
My honorable mention is I'm just going to the copy that's easiest to grab real quick. But my honorable mention is Forge of Darkness.
Okay.
Anyone on my channel or watching this is not too big of a surprise. I love the Carcanis books. Not only would this probably be on my list somewhere, it would be near the top, if not right at the top of this list, if we were talking beyond this stuff. I just really like
Yeah.
the style of these books, and kind of without getting into spoilers, this plays around a lot more with like the politics behind an approaching civil war, possibly. And so it's uh, like what's involved with that and the ethics in that situation and kind of the whole propaganda machine that this book really starts with. I don't know. It's really, really great. And seeing, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. These prequels are wonderful. And yeah, uh, honorable mention.
One of my favorite, like it was one of your earlier interviews, but it was
Yeah.
with Erikson
Oh yeah,
when
yeah.
you talk all about those two, but then also like how you like he didn't like tell you anything that happens or that's going to happen in the third one, but he did pretty fully explain to you sort of his creative process when it comes to what he's done on that
Yeah, yeah,
so far.
yeah. And I
Like,
mean, I
and where
think,
his headspace is, like,
yeah. I think even that was a couple years ago now.
yeah, yeah.
And now that he's like really like working on it and close to finishing it, it sounds like, I think what he's talked about in that interview might have been very true for how he was working on the book at the time, but it's
It's
not
changed.
exactly
Okay.
how things have remained. I'll be really excited to see that. But yeah, uh, love that series. But now that we're done with the honorable mentions, Malazan Book of the Fallen, the 10 books that typically are the first people's, first steps into this world. Let's see how we would rank them. So we'll start with, of course, book one, Gardens of the Moon. Um, any any thoughts about this before we do the reveal of our number placement?
Um, it's not a surprising
It's not.
reveal.
For me either. You're
There's
not gonna.
stuff that I really like in it. I don't
No.
like, yeah,
Yeah. I think it's a great starting book, and like I have no problem. Like it's not. Well, let's just reveal the number because there's not as much suspense maybe with this one. So
yeah,
3, 2, 1, 10th place. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so we both have Gardens of the Moon in 10th place. Um, I'll say even though it's in 10th place, I think that shouldn't like my biggest fear with that and with any Malazan rankings, with putting this in 10th place is someone gonna be less or more reluctant to pick up the series, seeing that the first book is not thought of that highly? But I think that's really kind of the wrong way to interpret it, because like me putting it in 10th place is just I think Erikson improves on this throughout the rest of the series. So if you read this and you really liked it, it's all uphill from here, basically. So um, I think that's a better way to look at it. I do think it's like it is such a great entry point into the world. And yeah, that's kind of just 10th place, but it's the best first book. Like it's so good still. Yeah.
Yeah. I think like if you really like mysteries, not so much like I mean there is a lot of like just actual just mystery in it, but like mysteries and like okay, but how does this world work? Who's that person?
Right.
How are they connected to that person? Um, if you like if that's more exciting to you than getting satisfying answers like in the series at all because honestly, on a reread, it's like this book, I don't again, I do love Gardens of the Moon. I think it's a very cool book. There's a lot of cool, interesting mysteries set up. There's a lot of cool, interesting characters that are introduced. Um, but kind of another surprisingly well, this one isn't surprisingly low, but a surprisingly low entry for me. It's coming up. It has to do with the fact that by that point, and especially on a reread, like the mysteries in Gardens of the Moon and in that geographical setting aren't the most compelling to me.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. I think I'll say a big reason why I think this.
Even less so on a reread because I know where the weight, yeah.
Yeah. I
I
got
know
you.
how he weights it later on. Like, but then also, like, I'm saying all of that, and when we get to number one, you'll be like, oh, but you know what I mean. Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah. I
Well,
gotcha. Um,
yeah.
Yeah, I think I do want to say with this, the Phoenix Inn storyline and or the Phoenix Inn regulars and everything in Darujistan, um, and that Three Musketeers-ish sort of plot. I love that whole half of the story my first time through, um, and I continue to love it. Krupp is one of my favorite characters, maybe my favorite character in the whole thing, and his introduction here isn't like it's not weaker than his other appearances or anything. If anything, it might be my favorite version of him in a weird way because it's the most that he's a character comparable to some of the other characters in the setting. Whereas
He's at his best, I think, in that one or in
Cold Hounds.
the way that Erikson writes him or uses him in Toll the Hounds.
Right. And like I
He's
love
so interesting, and it's
yeah,
different than how he's used in, yeah,
right. I
same
also
character, but like same great character, but
yeah.
yeah.
I also like I mean there's the good assassin rooftop kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
that's all intriguing.
Cool. It's exciting stuff. I do
Yeah.
think where this gets knocked
I
down
like
a little bit
Ralik
for me.
Nam. I like the way Ralik Nam's story ends, like the mystery there.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
again, it's kind of one of those mysteries that isn't really paid off like great, in my
maybe. Yeah,
opinion. Um,
yeah.
he kind of just comes out.
Hey,
In
have you seen
a
her?
way later book, in
Yeah,
like a way, way later book.
yeah,
He's like, oh, hey, how long was I?
yeah,
Yeah. But very mysterious and intriguing to start.
yeah. I also think like there is even on rereads with this one for me, there is a little bit of like the bridge burners as a group of characters don't do it for me as much as other military soldier groups do in the later books. And especially in this book, I don't feel particularly connected to any of the bridge burner characters. Um, Gano's a bit by the end, but
I, yeah, yeah. I do like, there's an interesting dynamic between like Bridge Burner versus, but also with Bone Hunter, like in the last two books,
yeah, oh yeah,
that I think
yeah.
is really interesting,
All centered
especially
around
with,
one character. Well, two
yeah,
characters. Yeah.
well, like, I mean, kind of all of them, but like the one who comes back makes it
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, to
I got
me.
you, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's,
So I
but
think
yeah,
I might move on from this. We both put this one in 10th place.
yeah.
Yes, honestly, this might be one of the only ones that is exactly the same. Who really knows? I really
I think we're
don't.
gonna have a couple others that are exactly the same.
Maybe we might. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so that's where Gardens of the Moon goes in 10th place. Let me make a note of that. Whoop. Just so I can get the average score by the end, but 10 plus 10 divided by 2 equals 10.
And
So
yeah.
that one's not too difficult to remember. Okay, so now again going in order, we have Deadhouse Gates. I'll start off saying I won't be surprised if this is someone watching, if this is your favorite book in this. Honestly, even for Gardens of the
Mm.
Moon, that could be someone's favorite book. A little bit of a tangent here. I was thinking, and maybe still am thinking, let's say in a year or two, when I want to do another kind of ranking, it would be fun to find people, friends, family like you, other booktubers, who everyone has a different favorite Malazan book, and we would just
Oh
go
yeah.
through an order, and they would just talk about why that one is the best one. That's not what we're doing here today.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll do that with two of them probably today.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Deadhouse Gates, I think it's high up for a lot of people. Your thoughts be early before we go reveal what we give it.
Um, yeah, I understand why it's high up for a lot of people. And I much like this is like my second favorite like geographical sort of
Me
setting.
too. Me too. Yeah.
Um, but like a lot of the things that happen here aren't like, well, yeah, well, I this one might surprise, like you said, you think this might be a lot of people's favorites. So then I guess my ranking might surprise some people.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Okay. I have at 6. You have at
Okay.
7. So pretty
I've
close.
said,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Um.
Yeah.
Okay. Thoughts on or other more specific thoughts as to why 7?
Yeah, so like everything here is sort of like lore and like legendary for like for me what are more interesting plots and character like arcs later on in the series.
Like
Um
they keep referring back
They
to
keep
how
referring
cool
back to
all
things that
this was.
happened in Deadhouse Gates. So yes, it is a crucial, important book. There's a lot more importance, a lot, I think, a lot more of the interesting things set up in Deadhouse Gates have interesting payoffs in like 6 and 9 and 10.
Yeah.
than things that happened in Gardens of the Moon. Um, so yeah, like yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's a lot of setup. And it's also there's certain story lines like with Kalam
Oh yeah.
that it's interesting, but it's not my favorite part of the series by far.
What I like about
Um,
Kalam's story is honestly on like going back revisiting this book is the introduction to Keneb. Um
yeah, okay.
and Pearl, like stuff like that's really and Lestara, like
Yeah.
the little hints of
Kenna
those
Pearl and
characters. Yeah.
Lestara, yes, but again, so Kenna Pearl, Lestara, and even Kalam
Hmm.
doing way much more interesting shit in
Later books. Yeah.
Bonehunters.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I
And a lot of that is set up and introduced here. And like I say that, like if you haven't read and you're listening and you don't care about spoilers, like I'm not like they don't really spend that much time. They spend time together a little bit going forward, but like not that much time.
yeah.
Like so, yeah.
Yeah. I think before getting into like the positives, I'll say I agree. I mean, Kalam, really cool character, never been really a top 10 for me or anything.
But a
He's
lot of the end game of this book focuses on
right,
what
right.
he's doing and
Him and
where he's
Malazan City,
at
yeah.
in Yamala City.
And
There's also, I get on my reread, I just kept mixing up, okay, so what happens here? What happens at the end of Bone Hunters and what happens in Night of Knives?
oh yeah, yeah.
Because there's like stories and places and characters that are like involved and intertwined in all three of those
Mhm.
things.
Have you done Path to Ascendancy?
No.
Okay. There's
Does
even
that make
more
it
there.
more complicated to remember wait, was that when they're at the bar or
Yeah.
was that yeah.
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 Or is that when they're on the roofs or is that when he talks with her and
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Uh
Also a little bit in um Return of the Crimson Guard.
yeah,
But
oh yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah. Right? Don't they
Well,
go?
they spent or so he spends a lot of time in Unta in that book.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I thought
And there might be I might be blanking on something. There might be a couple characters in Malice City for a little bit.
there might be.
Mhm. A lot of I mean a lot of that book is Lehang and kind of south of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean that book kind of goes it's a lot of
It
places.
goes too many. Well, not. Well, yeah, it goes too many places. That.
Um
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, we're talking not about Deadhouse
sorry, yeah.
Gates right now.
Deadhouse Gates,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Um.
I really I think one of the reasons this is down at 6 for me is um hmm it is is the Tremorlor storyline and everyone getting to the dead house or and like finding the
Yeah.
path of hands and then using that to get to the dead house.
It's a little
Um
anticlimactic.
well,
Like.
and it's very much one of these things where like I really like Mappo and Acarium, and I really like Iscarol Pust.
Mm,
And I kind of like what's going on with Crocus. Still Crocus at this point. Uh,
not.
he's not Cutter, yeah,
Not
but
edgelord. Like.
him and Absolar, like everything. Like I like a lot of those different ingredients. I don't know that I really you know, love that part of this book.
Yeah.
I don't know that I love the Deadhouse Gates part of Deadhouse Gates.
Yeah.
I mean, the two amazing things about this book, I think, are Chain of
Chain of
Dogs and
dogs. Yeah.
Fellis and
Yeah.
Heron's storyline. Specifically, Fellison's story is why like that's the part that pains me to put this at 6. I just love 5 other books more, but that's the thing that's like, oh, like if nothing else, that elevates this book above four books that I have ranked below it. Yeah.
Yeah. With Felicin stuff, like Erikson does a very different thing with her in this one and in House of Chains.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bit more interesting the way that yeah,
The way that he does it in House of
character's a
Chains.
little bit more interesting in House of Chains, I
Okay.
think.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Uh,
Okay. Okay, so I think we'll move on from Deadhouse Gates. I put it at 6, you put
I
it at
put it at
7.
7.
Okay. Let me make note of that real
Mm.
quick. Okay. 7. Um, and now we get to Memories of Ice. And Nathan, I don't know, did you watch the discussion I did with a few people a week or a couple weeks ago um about hot takes?
I didn't,
Okay,
but
okay. That's good. I just don't
uh,
didn't know how much you knew about where I might be placing this. No,
okay.
no.
I
Anything
have
you
a
want to
pretty
say
hot
before?
take. I have a pretty hot take about this one as well.
Okay.
Um, it's not my favorite.
Okay.
And on reread, again, it wasn't my favorite, but for different reasons.
Okay.
Um, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Three, two, one. Eight,
Hey!
8 and 8. All right,
8 and
twins.
8. Okay. Well, I thought that
Okay.
was gonna be like
Yeah.
the worst surprise and like your subscribers and like
No.
viewers would like come at us.
I mean they
Well, I
might
know this,
still.
it's a lot of people's favorite when they get to that point.
Yeah.
Like,
I can understand why it's a lot of people's favorites. So, like again, with all of these, it makes total sense why someone would love this
yeah.
the most. I think you can go give some takes first,
Go
unless you want
first.
a second
I'll
to
tell
give.
you, okay, so first time it wasn't my favorite because of the Mybe or the Mybe.
Mhm.
How do we pronounce that?
I say Mybe, but
Mybe, okay. The first time I didn't really like the Mybe story. I didn't really care about it that much. Um, But I loved basically everything else, like all of the action, like essentially two big climaxes, two big like convergences
yeah,
happen. Um, I love Quick Ben. I still love Quick Ben, and he plays a huge role in Memories of Ice. Like way bigger of a role than you would think, considering like how much like in the shadows and how much mystery there is about him in Gardens of the Moon. Erikson kind of knocks down some of those walls, some of that
right.
mystery. Um, Second time through, I love the Mybe storyline and the two big climaxes. I don't know. It's almost like they resolved too much. And it's like, why do I care? Like, yeah, it is interesting when those characters show up later on in the series,
Mhm.
but it's like, I guess that's a good thing. Like, it is pretty self-contained. Like, I wouldn't, but you could read Gardens of the Moon and Memories of Ice, and like, there would be pretty solid resolutions for a lot of the characters that you might be interested in,
Yeah,
or that might have been like your favorite characters. Um, or you would think there would be like you would think that their stories are resolved only to, tragically in some cases find out like, oh no, they're not, like they're nowhere near done
yeah,
doing what they have to do but like like it's like epic fantasy, the fantasy part and the epicness part are like really solidly like intertwined in Memories of Ice.
yeah.
With Animander's Rake's role in everything, not just oh God, I feel bad. What's it called?
You can
The
the swords?
shitty
Oh, Capistan, Coral.
Capistan.
Capstan.
Yeah. So first, or outside near Capistan, Animander's Rake role, like his role in what happens there is interesting and epic and dramatic and consequential. But then like what he does in Coral at the end, it's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
Very dramatic.
Like very dramatic, yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, Talk is one of my favorite characters. But again, I like what goes on with Talk more in later
I agree.
books. I like what happens with his character more than well, we'll get there.
Yeah. No.
Whoa. There's a book I actually place lower or between Gardens of the Moon and this one, and I
Me too.
love Talk's role in that story.
Hmm.
Um, or the part of the story that Talk is involved in there. We'll get to that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
I,
again, like I don't know what it is about. Like a lot of it's just like action, 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 and like thematically, the strongest part is the stuff with the Mibe and Silver Fox and like
mhm.
what she's trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, and it like I on reread, like it makes sense. It's like, okay, this is a character that's written very well with very good, clear motivations. And some of the other characters don't really get the time to understand why are they doing what they're like why is Ben doing what he's doing? Even Ganos, why like parent like why is he doing what he's doing?
Mhm.
Like it's explained a little bit better later on, I guess, but like not really.
Yeah. I
I feel like his
started
whole character, this is sort of the start of me being disappointed with him whenever he shows up.
Ganos.
Yeah,
Oh, see,
yeah.
okay, so this is where I start to kind of like him a little more, but it's not as much as I like him in, I think he has his best book in the series, and that's to come. Um,
Bonehunters?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot there, but it's completely different from what he's doing
Right, right.
here.
Well,
I
and
mean, it
I like
involves like what happens like with him powers wise and like
yeah,
magic wise
yeah.
and the role that he
And the
takes on.
master of the deck, yeah.
Master of the Deck,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean big reasons why this is 8 and not 10 or 9 for me are Ikovian and Gruntle. I think they're really great.
Yeah,
Um
yeah.
could sort of be self-contained, or especially Ikovian's very well, not Ikovian could have been pretty self-contained in this book. I love
This is Gruntle's best book, I think. But
yeah.
he just gets up to just the most bizarre, otherworldly, what the hell am I reading right
Yeah.
now? Part of Toll the Hounds.
Yeah, yeah.
And and then he's in the last two as well. Like
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Drake couldn't miss out. He had to be involved
Yeah.
somehow, yeah. Um Yeah, I think the biggest stuff that knocks this down to 8 for me, a lot of bridge burner focus. Never been the biggest fan of that group, um, compared to others. I still love them. I still like them all.
Yeah.
Um, and I think this book introduces a lot of stuff that I just like what other books do with those ideas more.
Bridge
Like,
burner focused because that's where
hmm?
this
Sorry,
is
what?
when as in terms of the bridge burners, we are doing spoilers,
Yeah, oh
yeah?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
This is when Hedge dies, right?
yeah, yeah. Hedge
Yeah.
dies here, yeah.
Yeah. And that's important later.
Right. And I like the
Um,
later stuff more than
yeah, yeah.
the tragic
It's
stuff
way
here.
more interesting than
Also, I mean, certain moments like the Ikovian stuff with the Amass, that super powerful, maybe my favorite part of the book. I agree with you. I really love the Vibe stuff. Um,
yeah.
I
It's
but
also the pacing is wild. Um,
Uh,
like especially like the second half of it.
yeah, yeah.
Like when I was rereading, I thought like things happened way earlier than they did.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
like in Kapistan, like no.
No, it's all a lot of it's crammed into that second half. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, I
And I'm
mean,
not a fan of that.
okay,
Especially on a reread. It makes rereading things difficult for me when the pacing is
okay, okay,
that insane.
okay.
Like,
Yeah,
that's why rereading like Game of Thrones and Clash of Kings is weird because the pacing's all over the place in those
okay,
two books.
okay.
It's also kind of messed up in Storm of Swords, but um yeah, so slow. We're not talking about those ones, but the
Okay,
beginning of
yeah.
Storm of Swords is so, so slow. Um, and anyway,
And yeah,
back to Memories of Ice. Yeah,
I think I also like I really love Darujhistan and we're barely there in this book. Like we're there for like 2 pages at the end, or
yeah.
a handful of pages at the end. Um, and a big shout out though. Again, I can totally understand people's reasons for ranking it number one. The Kachane Shamal are introduced here, and they're
Yeah.
incredible. Like they're maybe my favorite thing about this entire series. It's not my
So
favorite book with them, but the fact that they first show up here, anytime, like for anyone reading this series for the first
my
time,
favorite book
probably
for them is the ninth one. Like,
mine too. Yeah, mine too.
yeah, but it's not. Yeah, I like this book. Well, we'll get to that. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, Memories of Ice comes in at eighth place for both of us.
Eighth
That's an
place for
easy
both
one
of
to figure
us.
out the average
Yeah.
score again too.
No,
Uh, if you need to take a break for any reason, let me
no,
know.
I just had to turn a light on because it's not
Okay.
like getting dark, dark, but like it's yeah,
Mhm. People might come for us because we both ranked at eighth. Like they might have
yeah,
expected me to just be the only one. Or
uh,
we'll see. I
yeah.
used to. It used to be my favorite. Like even when I was finishing the series the first time I read it, I would have put it in my top three probably. But I don't know. Just going back to these books and the stuff that stands out, it fell a bit. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
Let me make a note. Okay. So now we're at House of Chains, book four. Um, Possibly a polarizing one for rankings and
I
lists in
think
the
it
series.
is. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
any thoughts before we reveal our number?
I think I'm gonna surprise people
Okay, okay.
here.
I don't know. I
But
don't
I'm
think
not, I don't
I'm.
think I'm gonna surprise you because I think almost as soon as I was into this one, I was shouting its praises and my
Yeah, yeah,
love
yeah.
of it to
I
you.
expect
Like,
I'll have this lower than you. Yeah,
yeah, almost certainly you'll have this lower than me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've already done 10 and 8, and we've done my 6 and your 7. So we've only done the bottom half of the ranking. When
Well,
does the series get
that's
good?
about
No,
to
I'm just kidding.
change.
It's amazing the whole way through. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Three, two, one. Okay, you have it 3, I have it 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Polarizing is right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Oh.
I so my bias here, just right out the gate, this is the one that made me like say like I'm gonna finish this series. I burned through it pretty quickly after I got to this one, after I got to House of Chains.
Mhm,
Just like such excellent world building. And also wildly, like I said, like with Gardens of the Moon, I like the mysteries. And like when like the fact that they're back in the Nascent or the
yeah,
that weird
yeah.
shadow realm
The shadow,
adjacent
yeah. The flooded,
area
yeah.
that's flooded
Yeah.
so they can because they had to flood it because they're a seafaring sea-warring people so they had to flood it to get their ships there.
Mhm.
um it's just so cool to me. And it just made me so interested in like, and I did know at this point that I would get more answers about what's going on there.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah,
just cool stuff.
yeah. So I
Just
think
just really cool fantasy stuff. This whole book, really. Not just that storyline, but and I mean that storyline comes to mind first because of the cover of that
right,
edition.
right, yeah. And
But there's, I mean,
unrack and troll.
Bellison's camp or Shike's camp, I should say.
Yeah,
Um, Bellison Younger's storyline. Um, Grim, but not like very, very grim, but not too grim. And I think another book crosses that line a little bit for me.
gotcha, gotcha.
Um, like, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I think if we're going on the Shaik camp storyline alone,
yeah,
this I would say this is closer to three for me. Um,
yeah.
I think the Karsa story opener, specifically once he's chained
It's
up
so
and he
horrible.
meets Torvald Nam,
Yeah,
that stuff all probably averages. Let's say Karsa throughout this whole book probably averages out to around fifth place. Um, and
uh,
but then I even on rereads and going back through, picking out and analyzing different scenes and stuff. Um, the beginning of the Bonehunters army here, uh, it's a nice
mm.
beginning, and I sort of feel how I feel about their story as I feel about Gardens of the Moon for the whole series. Like Gardens of the Moon is to Malazan
But
Book
like the
as
scorpion scene happens here, right?
yeah, the Scorpion duel happens here.
Yeah.
It's a cool, fun scene, but it's far
That's
from my
like
favorite.
early, like bottle, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, like
yeah.
okay, okay,
Bottle's best book is another book too, though.
yeah.
Like, yeah. Um,
Bottle has, I don't know. There's not a low point for bottle from here on out. I don't think. Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, he's a
I
highlight of
also
everything he appears in. Like,
yeah. I think just like thinking about the settings, I have this one ranked seven, Deadhouse Gates was six. I think this one, I just feel I get a little bit less out of this one that, compared to that one. Um,
okay,
and so like that's part of why I wanted them so close in the ranking. Like I like them really
yeah,
around a similar
yeah.
amount, I guess. Um, but yeah, I like Deadhouse a little more. And Fellas and stuff in Deadhouse a little more. And um, yeah. Any other?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not like. I do. I guess I come around on Karsa as much as you can.
Yeah, yeah,
And this is where that starts. But I mean, it's also where like it stops pretty hard.
yeah,
Some of the stuff he gets up to in the beginning. But I love that, like, especially on reread, I love the beginning chunk of House of Chains.
yeah. Oh,
Like, yeah.
it's great. Yeah, I
And the
think.
little bit of mystery, again, the mystery with the Fort Gorilla sale.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah,
and some of that's there in that beginning part
yeah,
of with Karsa. But
yeah.
it's from their perspective, from their um like closed off, like
They're
naive.
savage perspective.
There's yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say like ignorant, but I don't know if that's even the right word. Like
Um,
they just don't.
it's a
They're unexposed.
yeah,
They're
isolated.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
isolated.
isolated perspective. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Uh, Okay, so this is gonna average out interestingly. So you did three for that.
yeah.
Um,
I did three for that one.
cool. So that's where we have book four. Any other comments on House of Chains?
Again, I really love the Seven Cities continent, that setting. Um, that's biased my pick for this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's the one that got me to say, yeah, I'm in it from here on out.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that was Deadhouse Gates for me, but
Okay.
also another one, like Deadhouse Gates got me committed to a certain point, and then another one really, um,
Okay.
really grabbed me.
Seal the deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sealed the deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So now we'll move on to book 5, Midnight Tides. Um, I don't think I'm gonna surprise. Well, we'll
I
see.
don't think I'm gonna surprise people here, but
Okay.
or
I'm
you, I don't think I'm gonna
I'm gonna
surprise
guess you
that.
have this pretty high.
Yeah. I'm gonna guess you have this pretty high too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's.
Although, well, okay. There's a surprising one that I know you're gonna have a lot higher than a lot of people.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
But for this one,
This one,
I
three,
also talking about the covers, what the fuck? This one is the most baffling.
that casket or
I
something.
don't know what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Is it? I guess there's like the sea and like the waves and water and like the Tista Eater have something to do with
The
water.
the tides and mail, or you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see actually. So, what if it's not? Are we sure it's a casket? What if it might be an Azath house and the tides are like Mael's tides? No,
Eh, I
no, I'm
I
I'm
mean, there's a big
grasping here.
Azad house in this book, and it's nothing like that. Or like,
Yeah, that's what I.
yeah.
Yeah, you would need like the dead people around and
Right, right, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So
Okay,
3, 2, 1, 2.
yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay, so we agree
Yeah.
with this one. Yeah. Second favorite. This has moved up my ranking since the last time I think I did a ranking. But
This
yeah.
one's always either been one or two for me.
Okay. This one's always been top 3 for me. But
I read this one so quick. I don't even know what was going on in my life at the time. But I feel like everyone who gets to this point in the series, and maybe you get past like the first fourth of this book, it
maybe,
just
yeah.
goes by like, not because of wonky pacing like with Memories of Ice, but just because of like compelling like plot momentum.
Yeah. Well,
It's
yeah.
yeah,
I think you really need, or like, once the Sengars and their group go on their quest for the sword,
yeah,
then it's like, okay, wow, there's a sort of momentum to this book that isn't like it's unlike anything else in the series.
yeah,
And I mean, because that just builds into, with that storyline alone, that builds into Roulette's funeral, or not funeral, but burial ceremony
mhm.
and resurrection and the horror of that. And um, yeah, it's just
And the scenes
amazing.
with him and the Crippled God are,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, the scenes with him and Udinese
yeah, those are also, yeah,
are my favorite part of this
yeah.
book. Udinese and Roulette are 2 of my favorite characters in the whole series. Yeah, and of course everything in Lethris is hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, just Tehol and Bug, of course.
It's hilarious, but it is like dramatically compelling too at the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
time. Like they're preparing for this potential invasion
yeah,
event,
yeah,
like politically and also I I guess financially.
yeah.
Like not so much militarily. I mean they are, but like that's not part of what we get to see. Like
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, I mean, I love Shirk Alal, and
yeah,
everything with her, and um, I'm won't say too much because it's not like, we'll see what happens, but I'm gonna try to write something about her and Rulad, for a paper for school. Um,
about death and
Well, yeah, about
finding pleasure in death and
sort and like the
or
two, like Roulad's one very specific side of the resurrection type story, and Shark is a
yeah,
very different kind of take
different.
on that. Um,
It's a
and just sort
comedic
of what I
take.
think Erikson's trying to do with this book, just structurally, and with our concept of death and why he waited till this book to really talk about death this much,
Yeah,
um, or push death so much to the forefront. But yeah, just because a book like this can do it can make me want to write about those characters in that way.
yeah,
It's an amazing book. And everything with Briss and the whole throne room scene in the end is perfect. I mean, it's like if I could see one scene from this series, maybe it would be something like in live action, maybe it would be something in Toll the Hounds, but it might actually be the throne room scene at the end of this.
yeah, yeah. Dual weekends.
Poor Briss.
Yeah.
Briss, Bright. I don't know how to, you know.
I think I pronounce it Bryce better, but
Mhm.
Bryce. Yeah.
Oh.
And their brother too. He's doing interesting
Fear.
stuff. Yeah.
I love Fear. Yeah, yeah. I love Fear. Or sorry. No,
No,
you're.
not
Oh,
fear.
sorry.
No, yeah,
Hull,
Hall.
Hull.
Yeah.
That. Yeah. I was thinking different
I like
direction.
fear as well, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. The book about brothers, and we're brothers.
we're
Look at
brothers.
us. Um.
No wonder it's so
Yeah.
hot.
Which one of us is Roulette? Which one of us is Benatus? Is that the other one's name? Benatus?
Is that the one that gets stabbed?
Yeah, by Karsa in the previous
Yeah.
or in House of
Yeah,
Shame.
yeah.
I mean, after this, but yeah.
Yeah, after that, but before Deadhouse Gates.
Yeah. Benatus, third son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mage, Vic, or he's killed. I don't, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So I think we'll leave Midnight Tides
We
alone
can
after that.
leave. Like, there's enough said there. Like the twist with Bug and
Oh yeah,
Mayo.
yeah. It's
And when
great.
it's at the end of that one, right? When he goes into like wherever the Crippled God's at, and he's like, "Come on,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what are you doing?" Like,
Makes a fool of him. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So now we have book six. I think another, I'd say what I see in rankings more often is a fan favorite than a divisive one for Bonehunters. I
That's
don't know.
kind of what I see. Yeah, I think like a lot of problems that I have with the next one with Reaper's Gale, a lot of people also complain about
Oh,
with
with
the
this.
Bone Hunters, but well, I mean, we'll see very quickly what
Mhm.
I've done with these two entries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You put them 11th and 12th.
No.
Okay. So 3, 2, 1. 4.
Hey,
Oh, hey,
yeah,
we're doing a lot the
sure.
same. How about that? Um, okay. You want to start this one off or gather your thoughts or
So for the Bone Hunters, I liked it a lot more the second time through. Um, I don't know why though. I think maybe the first time through, I thought like the whole plague plot line kind of dragged, but I found it way more interesting and compelling the second time. Um, like that's what Ganos is up to. But like, I mean, it's not just him, it's other characters are also involved in that plot line to an extent. But like, I like the going through the Warrens stuff with Quick Ben. I like him being part of this group, these books,
yeah.
and being removed from everything going on in Genabakis. I like that a lot, that he's with this party now. Um, because they're his friends.
Yeah.
Because he likes them, you know? Like he's friends with Kalam and
Uh, and Fig.
like yeah. Um, and then of course like the Bone Hunters. Like
Yeah.
of course like everything there. Like Egatan and
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Igatan, the place, and the rat.
Yeah.
Um,
And everything after and like when they're walking through and
yeah.
yeah, when they're about to leave and it's like, wait.
Uh-huh. Wait,
Yeah.
what? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I was just thinking this book kind of reminds me of like if you get one of those graphic novel like or like a collector edition from like a really important era in like a superhero comic, um, and or like an important era with like that story that everyone talks about. Or like maybe this collector's edition you have has two of those like that story that everyone talks about. And it's like the first four issues of it are the Egatan thing, like everything building up to
Yeah.
Egatan. And then the last four issues is them all on their way to Malaz City and everything in
Yeah.
Malaz City.
I
But then
remember when I
like the
started
plague
this
stuff.
book.
Sorry.
I remember when I started this book, you said they spend a lot of time on boats in that one. And but like it starts completely in the desert. Like
Yeah.
because it's the seven cities like continent area or like the desert or like dry rocky land.
Yeah.
And the first more than half is very deserty and people are sick and plaguey and it's
Yeah.
miserable. But then yeah, a lot of the characters get on like different boats
Uh-huh.
at different points. Like
Yeah, yeah, they do,
they do
yeah.
spend a lot of time on boats.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think like the plague stuff and even a little bit of what's going on with Cutter and um
Yeah.
uh I'm blanking on his name. Barathol.
Barathol,
Introduction to
yeah.
Barathol. Love Barathol.
I looked Barathol in a couple books
Yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah, sure.
I didn't really care about him enough to clock in as a as that relevant of a character in the Bonehunters the first
Okay, yeah,
time
sure.
through. Like, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like a lot of that stuff seems like in the kind of going back to that comic book metaphor, it's like or analogy, it's like they took a few issues from a totally different run of a series that's kind of related to this and threw it into the middle. And I think it works really well. And it's like you're like, oh, I'm really glad I got the collection because not only does it have Egatan in it, but it also has the cool plague thing. Like it,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know.
There's the cool plague thing going on at the it has yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it has they're on boats, they're heading to Malice City and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And they get there too, like
Yeah.
and things happen there. Like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, other obviously Egatan. Would you agree that is the biggest part of this book, or like the best
Yeah.
part of this book?
Um it's the biggest part of it, but like Egatan, like specifically like the formation of like the real bone hunters, right?
Right, right, yeah.
Like
The
they had
ones under
already
the
been
sea.
calling themselves the bone hunters because they went and got the bones from the grave
Yeah,
in the
the
House of
yeah,
Chains.
yeah, uh-huh,
Um, but like the group that was down there under the city and that escaped, that's the real bone
yeah.
hunters.
Oh, and that
That's the best part.
Korab's
Yeah.
with them at that point is so
Yeah.
beautiful. His whole turn, kind of,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Also,
Yeah.
Hellions in this book, like she's funny. She's
I like Hellion a lot.
yeah. Um, everything at the throne at the end is
And
great.
wait, who's oh God. What's her name?
We need to get the
Bottles like
a
she's
Faraday
also in
sword.
House of yeah, Faraday, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Faraday. I love Faraday.
yeah.
Again,
But
not so
she's the
much
captain. Because Fid's Bottles sergeant. But yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I love Faraday eventually.
In what?
I love her eventually.
Yeah.
Like
Well, in the next book. she's as a big
and the
part.
next one, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Um, I'm just there's so much in this book. I mean, obviously it's 1,200 pages, but like um
yeah.
all like I was just thinking we haven't talked about Karsa, and I love Samar Dev. I think she's the
Mhm.
best part of Karsa's story from the moment she appears in this one. I still like Karsa's stuff before he meets her, but once he meets her, she's the best thing about that
Yeah.
whole thing.
I like that plot line, and I like parts of it better in the next one, but I think it's a more interesting dynamic and it's more consistently told. Like that story is more consistently a part of the actual book in the Bonehunters.
Maybe, yeah.
Whereas my gripes coming up here will it has to well yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I have much more to say. I guess shout out to the scene, the Tavor and Lucine moment where that tense moment in the
I mean,
room at
yeah.
the end. Wonderful
Yeah,
stuff and
I
yeah.
guess.
Um, okay, we'll move on from Bone Hunters. Um, we had
Again, Malice City stuff for me is like, which one
which
did
book was that? Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Who was
Um,
in that scene?
yeah. Four, where we both had Bone
Oh,
Hunters in fourth
we're both.
place.
See, at the start of this, you said you thought we might only have like a couple in common.
Right, but so far we've had Gardens of the
Mm.
Moon,
Yeah,
Memories of Ice, Midnight Tides, and Bone Hunters all at the same
yeah,
placement.
yeah.
That does mean the other ones jump around a bit, though. Okay, so now on to Reaper's Gale. Um, and I think you know how I feel about this one.
I do know how you feel about it, and so I think yeah.
And I think I know how you feel about it. I think, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think the more I look at the number I have here, it's like, yeah, this is for me. Yeah.
Okay.
This is the exact spot for this one for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So 3, 2, 1. You have it five. I have number
Five,
one.
yeah, okay.
Okay. Okay. That's probably one of our biggest like splits.
Differences.
Well, the House of
There was
Chains
the House
was
of
pretty
Chains
split.
is a big split,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Can I go first with this one?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I know you
so
just did a whole video
I did,
about it
yeah.
a couple months ago.
Yeah.
What was
Even
that
though,
last month or
but
yeah.
no, I love this book. I like seeing more Kachane. I
hmm
like even though the Red Mask story, I can understand people not necessarily enjoying that part of this book
Well, it's
that
one of the
much.
favorite parts of it.
Right, but it's
It's
one of
one
your
of the
like
redeeming parts
favorite
of it for
parts of it.
me.
I could understand someone maybe not liking the Dreen or Drenate, like that city and what's going on there with Orb and Truthfinder. Definitely not one of the more memorable parts of the book. Um, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah, right, yeah. Um, I can understand, I
Yeah.
think, some people's problems with this, but I adore this whole book. Love Lethris. I like Tehol and Bug more here. I like this more than Midnight Tides, and since I put Midnight Tides in second place, I'll put this in first place. And I like Rulad and just him being spun every which way, um, by like Trib and Null specifically. But um, I don't. It's so heartbreaking, and I don't know that even that cover. It's one of my favorite covers in the series. I don't know if it conveys exactly how sad and devastating this book
That
is. Like,
storyline is, yeah.
um, but yeah,
I mean,
and
everything
then you
else
get
that
the
happens, yeah.
massive kind of midway point of they're here, they're on our shore,
The
the
boats
Malazans are on our
on
shore, and it's so
fire, yeah.
cool, and they're
And
marching.
then like why they burn the ships
Right,
and
right.
like yeah, it's like we're not
Unwitnessed.
going back. Y'all are here with me now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Commitment that or it forces the
yeah.
commitment sort of. Um,
Yeah.
and of course, Beak I think is. Like I think after the first time I read the
It's one
series,
of
I
my
tried to be
favorite
like, no,
scenes,
there
the
might be other
whole
stories that are more emotional or that hit harder. But every time I come back to the Beak stuff, I
yeah,
think it's really it's the most emotional these books get me.
that
So
scene with him and Hood and
yeah, and his
yeah,
brother and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah.
His
Reaper's
brother
Gale.
understands, but yeah, he doesn't quite understand. Yeah.
My favorite book in the series. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
It's all over the place.
yeah, yeah, that's right.
That book is all over the place. You said the dream stuff, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And well, yeah, okay. And then there's like, I love all of the characters involved in the storyline with um,
The Refugium or like Quick and Troll and Hedge and
I love that stuff.
Onrak and okay.
I mean,
Oh, you mean all the characters in like the Silchus Ruin,
Silchus Ruin, that's the
Theron,
name.
Pedek,
He's the
Big.
Udinaeus. I love Udinaeus. I love all of that. I no, I love all of those characters. I don't like that plot line.
Oh, see, okay.
Um,
That's probably one of the biggest things pushing this to like as far away as
and
it
I
is then
also,
for
it's
us.
one of my least favorite parts of the beginning of Dust of Dreams, which I know is it shouldn't bear anything on this one, but is the way that things resolve themselves for that story with like the Azath house
Oh, and
and
with like Silchus and Rudd
yeah,
going
yeah.
on. Yeah.
Um, and it goes on way longer than I thought it did at the beginning of Dust of Dreams. Like they're just there in the yeah,
The
just
Refugium.
waiting for something to happen. Um,
Yeah.
it does, but like I don't like so I don't like that storyline. Interesting things happen, important characters are killed, and it's devastating. But the people who it's devastating to aren't really there.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? I mean, like there would be more people that it would be devastating to.
Like people in Lethris cared more about Kettle than the
Yes.
people on that quest, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Bug cared more
Right.
about.
Shirk.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Troll has people that like
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear your points. I also I do
And
just love
fucking Clip, I don't really care that much about Clip. And I mean that's another I shouldn't there are we'll get to it. Like this is your like I recognize that there are things that people don't like about this. This is your one for that to happen. Just give it a moment here
yeah,
and
yeah.
we'll get to but I don't give a shit about Clip. I think he's a pointless character.
Okay.
Um and he's pointless here. It's another ding against this book, but it's also like if we go back to your um like comic book collection,
Hmm.
like for me this is like if you know that there's a really popular like big comic book event for the X-Men
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh great. How long is that issue for the X-Men?" And it's like it covers X-Men issues like like 97 through 100.
Uh-huh.
And then you're like, oh, great, it'll be nice, quick, and short. And it's like, okay, but it also has like Spider-Man
Uh-huh.
85, it has X-Force 86
Uh-huh.
through 87. It has, and it has all of these other things that, like, yeah, they all become relevant, but you have to, like, it's like a lot of like eating your vegetables. like dealing with just so many different plot points, introductions of so many new characters, just because it does all pay off. Not here. Some of it pays off in Reaper's Gale, but not. And a lot of it's really good. Like a lot of it, like the new character stuff, it's like if you read the X-Force comic and you're like, oh, maybe I'll check out, or like
This,
maybe I'm
yeah,
excited to see where that goes.
yeah,
Like with the Shake, stuff like that, right?
right.
Even though that only barely starts here. Because I remember the first time I was reading this, you kept asking me, have they introduced them yet? Have they introduced them
Mhm.
yet?
And
They don't introduce them until way late in like the second book
like
of,
subbook, yeah.
yeah, sub book.
So I think some of
Because
them
they're
do
the
show
ones
up.
who see,
Some of them are
some of them
briefly in
show up.
Midnight Tides, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just briefly, but yeah, as they're moving south.
But that's my comic book analogy about
Okay, yeah.
why I think it's a little rough.
Okay.
Yeah. I like Karsa dealing with Rulad, putting him out of his misery.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Also, making a fool of the crippled god to an extent.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah.
Akariam's up to some weird stuff in the city, walking around. Um,
Yeah,
okay.
he's got his moment coming up. Like,
Yeah.
I like Ikariam, but like, we'll talk about him.
Uh-huh. Okay. We'll
Yeah,
put this one to bed then.
yeah.
At an average, I believe, of 2.5.
Unless you have closing words for your favorite one in the whole
No, I
series.
lo love this book, but all of these, sorry, love this book, but all of these could, it's really so close. Like, this is number one, Gardens of the Moon was number 10, but like, they're both
Yeah.
5-star reads or what, like,
Yeah,
whatever
they're
scale,
both
like,
recommendable. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
They're not like a miss this one.
right, right.
Like, yeah, it's okay. You skip this one.
Oh, you don't need to know about what happens in Reaper's Gale.
Yeah.
Hmm. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we'll move on to book 8, Toll the Hounds.
One of the only ones that I actually have
Oh, okay, a copy
on
of you.
hand,
Nice.
and that's the one that I have.
That's a nice. I like that cover more than this
Yeah.
cover. That's got Barrelfall on it.
And it makes sense. The scene happens. I mean, that scene
Yeah.
kind of happens.
Yeah, yeah. But the green is
It could
strange.
be any number of scenes.
The
Like,
green is like a colorblind person was walking through Darujhistan, and the blues
yeah.
more
Yeah.
green than
Yeah.
anything. Maybe I don't know. Um, I think as of late, a lot of rankings and stuff. This book, like when I was first reading the series, ranking like this was very divisive. I actually don't know that I see it in particularly like why. I see it ranked around the same place all the time, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now
Okay.
that people have had time to, yeah.
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 So, want to
Yeah.
reveal?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. One, this is your favorite.
One.
I put the
Yeah.
three for this,
Yeah.
yeah. Just because the two Letherus books are above it, but um
Yeah. I'll
that's the
say,
biggest change in my
uh,
yeah.
yeah. Off the bat, I'll say, like I said, I don't like Clip. I don't like what he gets up to or the group of characters that he's traveling with. They're all very
Mhm.
sad to Standy, and they kind of need to get over it, I think. Um, like there are sadder Tistiandi who have a reason to be sad in this book, and they're not that group of characters.
Uh-huh.
Like there's the other sub characters in Coral
Right, right.
that like,
Spin-off
and like
giraffe.
on reread I it's not my favorite part, but I don't dislike any of that stuff that goes on in Coral.
Mhm.
Um with Rake and with his people, with his two best friends. Um, they're not really, but like they're the two perspectives you get from
Endist
other.
and Spinnock.
Yeah, yeah. They're the other Andy perspectives you get in.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other main ones. I like everything that's going on with it, Covey in there. That's the thing. Like when we were talking about Memories of Ice, like everything feels like it's resolved pretty well
Hmm.
at the end of Memories of Ice. But like when you get to that plot line here, it's like, ooh, okay,
Yeah.
maybe not that well. Like,
I do think like I like this book as like a because Memories of Ice is resolved or it feels like a lot of things have resolved. This one is
yeah,
like a so
it's like
now
a
what do these guys
yeah.
do?
Now
Like
let's see what's going on here.
right. Well, now let's check in, and
Yeah.
it's really, I mean, it's all it's all about grief and love
It's all
and
about death. It's
right.
all about
Yeah,
how
yeah,
we deal with death.
yeah,
But permanent death, not the kind of death that they have to deal with in Lether.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
Um,
yeah. I mean, this has always been top three for me. So
yeah.
me having it at three is that is the absolute lowest I'd probably consider putting it because I
This has
love.
always been one or two for
Okay, yeah.
me. Yeah.
I
Like
think that.
between this and Midnight Tides. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think that's fair. That's been my one and two at certain points in time as well. But
Yeah.
those have always pretty much been my top three, especially if we're not throwing in the other books.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And I
Love
know
stuff.
like I do sound like a hypocrite, but like you've read it, you know this one is so much better than the other two set on this continent.
I agree. Yeah.
Like so much more interesting, like thematically, the actual things that, and we were talking about Gruntel's storyline, and it starts off pretty similarly
Yeah.
to how his plot starts off in Memories of Ice, but then very quickly, he's traveling through morons and dimensions and
Hmm.
death and
Yeah.
chaos and
He's with the
yeah,
TTG. The
yeah, yeah,
um yeah, I really like I want to say I really like Harlow's stuff here too. I think that's my second most kind of heart-wrenching story if we're
yeah,
ranking heart-wrenching stories. That's second most for
yeah.
me. Love that.
For
Love everything in
mine.
Dragnipur. I would read a thousand more. I would read whatever set.
Murillo, oh, like,
Yeah, Morelio. Yeah, yeah.
but the mines, like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I do think the only reason that I have it down at three is um just the stuff outside of Darujhistan. I still really
clips
like it,
thing,
but I like that all a bit less than the Lethrus stuff in Midnight Tides and Reaper's Gale.
sure, sure.
Um, so that's really the only reason. Everything in Darujhistan I might like more than anything else in the
The
series.
rest of the series, yeah, everything with Berthal and everything with the burners, and
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
well,
I like them
yeah,
most here.
yeah,
Ansi and Picker and Blend and yeah.
yeah.
I also I love Hood. Hood is
Hood's a cool
easily top
character.
10 character for me. And before this
Yeah,
book, I mean, you get a by this book, I guess you've gotten enough things, especially by the end of this one, where
yeah.
you're like, okay, he's awesome. Like
He
he's
has two really cool scenes in Reaper's Gale too,
yeah, he does. Yeah,
like the one with Beak and the one with Talk.
talk. Yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah. But no, just him in. I mean, the other than the throne room in Midnight Tides, like the scene of it's not even Animander Rake showing up in Dragnipur. It's Hood showing up in Dragnipur, his army
yeah,
approaching in the
uh-huh,
back and saying, "You think I came alone? Turn the
yeah.
wagon around." Like in
And
Drag
then like the setup before that with Gruntel's plotline, and they see like an army
marching, and they're like,
of
"Where are they
dead
from?"
people marching, and it's like, who's that? What are they doing?
Yeah,
And it's like,
yeah,
don't just, well, yeah, we'll
yeah.
just keep going. Like, don't worry about it for now. And
Also,
then like the I normally don't like cliffhangers like this, but one of my favorite moments in Dust of Dreams, and it happens about halfway through Dust of Dreams, is when, like, as the reader, you start to piece together,
The
like,
timeline, yeah.
the timeline
Yeah.
and how it's like, okay, what is this thing that they found here, this wagon thing?
Right,
Who are
right.
these characters? Wait, I know these characters.
Uh-huh.
These characters, they picked that person. Oh, this is.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a tiger roaming around here
Yeah.
somewhere, or yeah,
Yeah.
a man tiger,
Yeah.
whatever he is, you know, like,
Yeah. Also, quick shout out to the moment where Hood is summoned by is her name Thordy and Gaz? Or do I have them
oh, though, yeah, oh, the guy who like beats people up
the
every
fingerless
night.
guy who kills
Yeah, yeah.
people?
I
Um,
forget her
I
name.
think it's Thordy.
Um, I
But
love the envy and spite stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting too.
Um,
Yeah,
I like the Crocus and Chalice stuff is really
yeah,
wonderfully done. Like yeah,
yeah,
all this stuff in Georgia's Day is so good.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like groups like monologues and like opening the chapters and
Uh,
the yeah,
let's talk about nasty little shits. Like,
yeah,
oh, it's so
yeah,
good. It's such good stuff. Dance by limb, dance by word, witness. Yeah.
yeah. He has yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, the Hounds, wonderful book. Yeah.
Um,
Sometimes it's been my favorite. This time it's third, but love all these. Okay. You had that at one. Right,
I
right,
had that at one. Yeah.
right. Okay. Two more to go. And I guess
Since we haven't used it yet, we probably have it in the same spot.
right. So, okay, so have we not used either of these numbers? Or okay, no, no. Okay, so what are the two
No,
rank placements that you have left?
I have not used nine and I have not used six.
I haven't used nine and I haven't used five.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so Dust of Dreams. You want to just reveal?
Yeah.
Three, two, one, five. And you have nine. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is
Interest.
another one of my, well, not this, but what I'm about to do with
Interesting.
minutes.
Yeah.
That's more maybe controversial, but
Okay.
yeah. I put this at fifth and you put it at nine.
It's really good, but like, and it's not disjointed at all in the way that Reaper's Gale is. It tells a very, a, quite, it tells quite the straightforward story. There's a
Yeah.
couple weird plot lines that are like, okay,
I
we
think
don't need
I
that.
agree with that.
Like,
Because even
it's
with
much
like
more straightforward than, yeah,
the parish greyhounds, you
yeah,
know why they're in Volcando pretty much. Like
yeah,
and you kind of know the goal to get to or actually through the wastelands. Like
mhm,
and that's yeah, there's really and then so there's that and then there's what's going on near and around the wastelands. So like um I like the Bonehunters. I always like the Bonehunters and I
yeah.
love them
It's a good book
here.
for the bone hunters.
Yeah. I think
They
I
spend
have
some
the
time
book
on
The Bonehunters.
rafts, a good amount of time on rafts in that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's that whole sequence in the middle there. I kind of as you alluded to in the Toll the Hounds discussion, I really like when like is showing up. And when the
yeah.
Trey Guild and
Crashing
them
into
show up.
the world basically, and
Yeah,
then yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
and Yeah.
Yeah. I love all the stuff with Caliph and the Kachain, Tramal
That's
and
cool. And with Stormy
yeah, Stormy
and
Gessler at the end,
yeah,
yeah.
Stormy and
Yeah.
Gessler, yeah.
I mean, I think the Bargas stuff, as difficult as it is,
Yeah, I think it's a little too difficult.
okay, yeah. Is
I think
that a
it's a
big
little too grim. Yeah.
is that a big kind of reason that it jumps
Yeah.
or pushes it a little down to nine?
Also, I mean, the other big reason is this book is like all set up for the Crippled God.
Yeah, I'll say yeah, but I love the finale here and the battle against the
The
Naru.
finale's cool,
Yeah.
but it also leaves a lot of questions
Yeah, yeah.
unanswered. It leaves a lot of picking up the pieces that the Crippled God has to do at the beginning of, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I like the I think I like the shake stuff in this one about as much as I like it in The Crippled God. Just
yeah. I
because
like it much more in the Crippled God
yeah.
because there's interesting, cool payoffs and
Yeah.
like he was very obviously thinking about Forge of Darkness and
Yeah, yeah.
working on things there when he wrote that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um okay. I don't know that I have too much else to say here.
I
Um
don't have
Oh,
anything
we
else to
get a
say
lot
about
of
this
time
one.
still in Lethris at the beginning of this book is another reason why
Yeah,
it's bumped up pretty far or pretty
even
high.
there's a few things with Tehol, like a few, not like scenes so much, but like he still is even, he has a presence still in the Crippled
He
God.
writes the
Like
letter to
he writes
Breeze.
the letter,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So
About
we'll put
Bruce.
Dust of Dreams to bed.
Dust of Dreams is
Mhm.
done.
And then finally, last but not least, the Crippled God. We each only have one placement left to
Yeah.
put this. So three, two, one. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Make sure this is still recording. Okay. Yeah. You have it at six. I
Yes.
have it at
Uh,
nine. Okay. Six and nine.
no
Okay.
problem. It's
I
really
think
epic, you know, like
yeah. I think, and I've
the
told,
resolutions, like people say like, oh, they didn't answer every question, but I'm definitely a fan of this series who's like, I didn't need an answer
right,
for
right.
everything.
Yeah, yeah,
I could have done even without some of the callbacks to like Anabakis characters, you know,
yeah.
like um
Or Latin
it
whiskey
was
too.
nice to see them.
Yeah.
Like Croup even has a scene here,
Mhm.
but like I didn't need it. Like um yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, I could definitely see this being someone's favorite book in the series. I
I
think
could see that. Yeah.
I've never really liked the like beginnings or endings of series, even if it's a trilogy. The middle one's usually one of my favorites. I think I
Yeah.
just like to really get into something and like into the meat of it. And by the time you get to like the last book and something, I sort of
The
feel like, oh,
last
I miss a lot of the stuff that came before, kind of.
the
I mean,
last Witcher book. Like not like the chronologically the last Witcher book is the best one.
okay, okay. I
Yeah.
haven't
I
gotten.
think.
I only read the first, like I read the short stories and then I read the first two of those.
Okay.
Um, I
Second
like
one
the
ends on
second.
quite a cliffhanger, but
Yeah. Um,
um,
but yeah, Crippled God, love it. A lot of really great battles, payoff stuff.
yeah,
I I love what it's revealed what they're doing with the crippled god. I
what
mean,
the
that's
ultimate
pretty
goal
heavily
is.
hinted at in Dust of Dreams too.
Yeah.
Um,
With
but
conversations with,
yeah,
yeah.
um, yeah, it's also kind of it's a hard book to talk about. Like, I don't know.
Because, yeah. I like everything that's happening in like with the Wall of Light. Yeah.
Mhm. I will say I don't know that I really like the errant sexual laugh Kilimanjaro's stuff in these last two books that much. Um, I don't know that it really hooks me,
Um,
draws me in.
yeah, I mean Draconis is important there, kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
Hood is also important. Not like they mention him a lot,
Yeah, I
but he
like
doesn't
Hood in
interact with them.
I like Hood
Hood
in
makes that
Flint and at the
splash when
Spire.
he
Yeah. Yeah.
shows up, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um, I
yeah.
think I also I like Dancer's moment or Cotillions moment near the end.
Yeah. I'm glad that Cotillion got that moment because he's like one of my favorite characters in the
Yeah.
whole thing. Um, that he got to do, yeah. He's the ultimate bone hunter,
Yeah, yeah.
sort of.
Yeah.
Just if that was their goal, right? Like,
Right, right. Yeah.
and they
And
all prayed to him in their own way, like they all prayed, yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful book. Also, I love the scene when Tavor and Ganos are reunited. She's like, I couldn't save her, or is that the line? I couldn't save her.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's heartbreaking.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think with these last few books, there are some things that just don't hit quite as hard for me as some of the others. And like be with Dust of Dreams, I think I'm a little more forgiving of that because it's like, oh cool, we're not at the last book yet. We still have a little time to wrap
Yeah,
some of
the
this up.
final two, nothing there is as good for me as Toll the Hounds, but also not as good as like the other like Letherist stuff.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost feels like those are two by themselves, and like Midnight Tides and Reaper's Gale are two by themselves, even though a lot of people consider that all kind of like it's all part of the same thing. But you could very easily say like you have like one, three, and eight are the Genabacchus
Yeah.
books, two, four, and six are Seven Cities, and then everything else is left there. But
Yeah.
it's a little more, it's different than that because yeah,
It brings in Ganos.
yeah.
Yeah, we're not really in Letherus. Like, yeah, no.
Yeah, we're on a different side of that continent, like a more ancient side, like a more, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that should do it for our
I'm
ranking
sorry,
going.
I'm kind of dark right now.
No,
It's
you're good.
have
You're
this
good.
light on here, but
Okay, so let me do some quick math to figure out what our whole thing is.
combined ranking is,
Okay, so
yeah.
yeah, oh God, oh these books down here.
It's still going to be interesting because even the ones that we agreed on, the ones that we didn't agree on, surely shifted.
Shit, yeah, yeah.
Where, yeah,
Okay. Well, no surprise, in last place, our combined ranking
everybody's
has Gardens of the Moon, book one. Again, we're not doing spoilers at this point. Please don't let that be a, oh, maybe I shouldn't try this series. No, this book's amazing. It's just all gets better from here. I think you'd agree with that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So, 10th place, Gardens of the Moon.
A lot of
Um,
mysterious, interesting setup. Yeah.
yeah, still a great, great starting point. Um, then. In ninth place, our combined hottest take, I'm sure. So, again, if you're new to this, don't really take our word necessarily for how the broader community
Oh,
views this one.
yeah.
But in ninth place, we put
Memories of Ice.
ice. we give our reasons and discuss it and spoilers and the rest of the video, as some of you have seen. But this comes in ninth place for us, doesn't for most
It's
people.
still super good though.
It is,
Like
yeah,
it's
it's
still
amazing.
even like a massive leap in quality. Like Gardens of the Moon is good enough to read. This one's even like it's a massive leap in
Yeah.
quality from that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I totally
Yeah.
agree. But that's ninth place in Memories of Ice. Then in eighth place, again, maybe a little lower on our list than some, and a lot of that's my bad. Um, but in eighth place, we have the Crippled God,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
and a
That's
really
not that much
amazing
lower than where I
finale
put it, but
conclusion.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're partway through the series and you're like, oh no, it doesn't end great. No, it ends wonderfully.
Although similarly, I feel like now that's where the sentiment is, or now I feel like it's now I feel like people are coming around to thinking the Cripple God is one of the best ones.
Right,
But I
right.
feel like when I first read it, people did not like any of like the last like four.
Yeah, yeah, like
Like,
like the 20 early 20 teens, like people were
yeah,
kind of down on the last few books in the series, which are often, with this
yeah,
exception, my favorites of the series. But yeah, Crippled God's great. It comes in at in eighth place in
at
our
eight.
ranking. Sorry. Um, and
Frequency.
then in seventh place, um, ooh, seventh place, book nine, Dust of Dreams, just barely above the Crippled God with this math. Yeah, that comes in at seventh. I guess together, uh, it makes our ranking makes it look like the first half of the conclusion is a little better than the second half. I don't think that's the
Yeah.
popular opinion,
And
but
that's not how I feel
right,
really,
right, right,
but
right.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
definitely how I feel. It's not how you feel. They're close, you know.
They are
A
close.
lot of the same characters, same really similar
It's the
stuff
same
happening.
like main narratives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So then in sixth place, rounding out our bottom half of the list, we have Deadhouse Gates, which I
It's a
think is
fair spot for
pretty
it.
kind of
Yeah.
what we expected of this book.
Yeah.
Yeah, good book. Yeah,
Yeah.
a vast improvement, I think, on the first one, and the first one, like you said, is good.
Yeah.
But great introduction
Cool
to
setting.
setting.
Yeah.
And then in fifth place, one of your favorites, House of Chains.
Yeah.
I also really like
Woohoo.
House of Chains, you know. But yeah, that comes in fifth place. Then
I will say my reread, no spoilers, but my reread definitely improved it
like
for,
bumped it up, yeah.
but like it's the one that made me continue the series, like want to
Yeah, okay, yeah,
continue.
yeah,
So like that's always been the case. Like,
yeah.
yeah, that's why. Yeah.
Okay. Now in fourth place, we have Bone Hunters. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Hey, that's where
That's where we
I
both did put it in fourth, and
yeah.
that's where it turned out or wound up being. Yeah. Um,
That
yeah.
seems right for the Bonehunters. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's
Yeah.
incredible. I think there's some books that really strike more of emotional chords maybe than I mean this one has its stuff in it,
It
of course.
does,
Yeah.
especially in the first.
Third.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I gotcha. Yeah. But today this turned out to be in fourth place. Then in third place, my favorite, Reaper's Gale.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think you explained yourself very well as to why it's a bit lower for you. Um, but it's my favorite, but it comes in third place for this one. Is that like, how do you feel about this being in third place?
I like that. Yeah. I don't
Okay.
hate that in third.
Making sure you're not
There's stuff.
furious.
No, I had it in fifth, so like I'm
Okay,
not.
yeah. It's not that
Yeah.
far.
No.
And then we'll defer to your list because you're the guest. And these last two tied with their
Okay.
placement. So in second place, Midnight
Midnight
Tides.
Tides. Okay.
And in
In
first
first place,
place, Toll the
Till the
Hounds.
Hounds.
Um,
Okay.
two wonderful books. I mean, the
Yeah.
top three on the it worked out well for me because the top three on our combined
Or
list
your
are my
top three, what
favorite
you
three.
said were,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Sorry that House of Chains wasn't
Yeah.
quite there for you. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was fifth, so not bad, not too bad.
And
Um,
if people are watching and they wonder if it's worth continuing, like after the first couple books, bear in mind that our top three are the seventh one, the fifth one, and the eighth one.
right,
So,
yeah.
like,
Our
yes,
top
bear
four
with me.
are five, six,
Yeah,
seven, eight. Five, six, seven,
yeah.
yeah. So there you go.
The
That
last
should
two are good too, but like,
they are, yeah.
like don't you? I mean, if you get to the eighth one, you're not gonna stop. Like,
Right. Right. Eh,
yeah,
it's okay. Yeah.
because you still have to know what's going on. Well, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so there's our ranking. Hopefully that was, not too jumbled or difficult to follow. What's in what place. I might be, you know, editing. Alex might go in and have like a placement under each of us or like have a book come up, at least in this last part, to slot them
Oh, as
in.
we mentioned them,
Um,
yeah,
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 as they come up, but just to make things a little clearer. But
yeah.
yeah, I don't know that I have anything else to add. Anything from you?
No,
Okay. Thank you
I'm.
so much for joining
I'll
me.
say what I'm currently reading.
Oh yeah.
I'm currently reading Throne of Glass.
Okay, yeah. Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah.
I haven't read
Also,
that
a
series by her.
kind of a steep barrier to entry. Um, but like it's not because like things are complicated in the first couple.
Just
It's because
the
she was
quality.
16 when she started writing
Okay,
it. And like,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
That's fair, yeah.
But I'm on the fifth one now, and it's so good.
Okay.
The way the fourth one ends, so many more things were resolved than I expected,
Okay.
leaving the last three in the series to be like, oh, okay. So like, what now?
Okay, cool.
Like, yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's
I'm just
still a big
reading.
bad and everything, but yeah,
I'm just still reading Thomas Covenant and Poppy War.
cool.
Same old, same old. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this. I had a lot of fun doing it. I hope you had fun doing this ranking. Maybe we
I
could
had
get together
fun,
and rank
yeah.
other things too, like favorite video
Yeah.
games, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Other book series. Yeah, but yeah.
Survivor seasons, but you're not a
Survivor
Survivor
seasons.
tuber, you're a booktuber, so
Right, right. I do have some videos that cross over a little bit, where I
yeah,
talk about Survivor, but
yeah.
uh,
And
so that should do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Please let us know down below in the comments how you would rank these books. What are your hot takes ranking wise? Or if you just watched the brief beginning and ending and you haven't read the series, if you're interested in reading it, I'd love to hear any and all such comments. Thanks again, everyone, for watching. Nathan, thank you so much for joining me today. Um, have a good
yeah,
one.
thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Have a
of
good
course.
one.
Bye.